Hello and welcome. This is a short presentation of the Interoperability and Cross-Border Compliance asset produced by University of Maribor. The asset is designed to show GDPR-related differences between the EU member states. The research was done to highlight some of the problems with GDPR interoperability and differences in complying among EU member states that have come about as a result of GDPR allowing member states to define or change some parts of the regulation to suit their needs, and additional legislation countries can have. A prime example of this is the age of consent, which GDPR sets at 16 but allows countries to change to as low as 13. The completed asset will be available as deliverable D3.18 on the project's website under Publications. However, the map containing the results, which we will show later, is already published. To gather reliable data on the situation in each member state, we chose to gather information from supervisory authorities. We have managed to collect feedback from 19 out of the 27 member states. The collected information includes whether a country has any additional legislation on the use of biometry, additional specific legislation on video surveillance, photography, anonymization, pseudo-anonymization, audit trails, parental consent, processing of deceased's data, using biometric data for identification, processing of health data, processing data on sexual orientation, erasure of personal data, data protection officer appointments, or if there are any additional supervisory authority consultation requirements. In the Smart Campus demonstrator, we have used the asset to get the initial sense of the areas of personal data processing to be especially attentive to when starting to process data in a given country or across multiple countries. In the case of a Smart Campus in a specific country, we can find out if there is any additional legislation on, for example, biometric data for the purpose of identification, which would be necessary in a case of biometric authentication on campus, processing of photographs, which would be relevant for student IDs, video surveillance, which would be relevant for CCTV surveillance use case presented in the demonstrator, appointment and responsibilities of data protection officer, which would be a requirement in a public university, and others. Now, let's look at the map showing the results. The map is available on the project's website at cybersecforeurope.eu. The map allows a quick overview of the different topics we have just mentioned. A yellow-colored country means a member state has additional rules, while blue means they do not. Currently, we are looking at whether a member state has any additional specific biometry legislation. Two related points are whether they allow biometrics in electronic acquisition of signatures and if they allow the use of biometrics in work environments. In this example, we can easily see that the majority of member states do allow it because the map is predominantly yellow. When looking at additional legislation regarding data backups, we can see that only one country in our survey, that is Denmark, actually has it. When looking at other additional legislation member states might have, the color of the country only tells us if there are any. However, if we hover over the country, we get more specific information. For example, in Spain, they have additional legislation on video surveillance, anonymization, and pseudo-anonymization. The same is true for fields where member states extend the GDPR. For example, Spain has additional rules on the majority of topics covered in the study. Lastly, there is the minimum consent age, which is the age at which individuals no longer need parental consent. As it can be seen from the map, the values are rather diverse over the surveyed countries, and they include all the ages in the ranges from 13 to 16 years old. We hope you found this presentation of the GDPR interoperability research produced as part of the CyberSec for Europe project interesting. Thank you for watching and goodbye.